Hello, and welcome back to Kitchen Science and Common Sense. I'm Carl, a designer here at Spice Roads, and today we'll be talking about flavor. Not necessarily the perception of flavor, but how do we obtain flavor from the food that we eat. Now this may sound harsh, but we eat things that used to eat. It's that simple. Remember the big deal they made in The Lion King about the circle of life and all of that stuff? Well, that's just how it works. Whether you're a vegetarian or vegan, or a carnivore like me, we still eat things that were once alive. Now, how do we get the flavor and the nutrition outside of cells? Well, our discussion today focuses on the mechanical method. To back up a moment, I'm not going to be discussing the nutritional aspects of lysine cells. There's plenty of food gurus and nutrition Nazis out there who would like to teach you about the pros and cons of eating food. My point today is how to use and extract flavor for psychological and physiological enjoyment. Now, mechanical lysine of cells has been around since the dawn of time. Animals have been doing it since they've been animals. Cavemen masticated cells long before they discovered fire. So even before the primitive barbecue, men have been chewing foods to obtain flavor and nutrition. The reason I'd like to talk about mechanical release is because it's probably the most simple and a basis of all of our cooking techniques. Our point is to release flavor by breaking cell membranes and cell walls so that all of the goodness from inside can be used by us on the outside. Mechanical release of flavor is as simple as this. By smashing repeatedly, see all of that flavor? Or even by smashing. Do you see all of the flavor released? That's what we are looking for when we mechanically lyse cells. Let's take a quick look at the basic structure of animal and plant cells. These are two simple drawings of an animal and a plant cell. Most of the stuff inside is all the same. But two distinctions between animal and plant cells are, first of all, even though both have a cell membrane, a plant cell also has a cell wall, which helps it to retain moisture and continue to have its turgor abilities. The other thing is the cytoplast. The cytoplast is the organelle that makes it possible for a plant cell to take radiant energy from the sun and turn that into sugar or usable energy for a living cell. Now, when it comes to cells and flavor, let's take a good hard look here. When it comes to animal cells, partially they're more difficult to break open, but my concern here in regards to flavor is that animal cells can be kind of boring. Let's think about this for a moment. Cow tastes like cow. It doesn't matter if it's a Hereford or an Angus or a Santa Gertrudis. Cow tastes like cow. When it comes to plants, things are completely different. Let's take the example of the good old-fashioned pepper. They may all be green, they may turn red, but jalapenos and serranos and bell peppers and pimentos and ghost peppers certainly do not have the same flavor characteristics. Because of these chemical compound differences, vegetables are much more exciting for us in the kitchen. Animal cells are important for nutrition and variety and texture, but when it comes to flavor variances, plants is where we want to go. And here at Spice Roads, that's where our concentration is focused, on vegetable matter. Even before fire was used, humankind has used mechanical methods and devised mechanical tools to break down those cells. Let's take a look at some of those tools right here. Here is a collection. Can you see them? Almost all of these tools involve a knife of some sort. Modern technology has provided us things like blenders and food processors, but they have a disadvantage. First of all, they can be very expensive. They can take a lot of space on counters and in cupboards. They break down quickly if they're not cared for. And sometimes they're a downright pain in the to clean. A good quality knife is what's needed in the kitchen. Not necessarily expensive, simply good quality. Please keep your mind out of my gutter, but when it comes to foods, size matters. Probably too late to keep you out of my gutter. However, we need to consider that lysine cells releases flavor. But mechanically separating cells is not the only way that we use in the kitchen. We also use acids and we use heat. Both methods also lyse cells and release flavor. So we'll have a demonstration in a little bit about why size really matters during the cooking process. I'll soon be making a soup. And soup is relatively simple if you understand its components. I had a good friend and chef who I worked with in Germany. Early on in my career, he taught me the following quotation. Son, soup is not a bunch of crap floating around in water. Soup is a bunch of crap floating around in stock. Well, he was absolutely right. And we spent a lot of time making stock in his restaurant. Making stock is really pretty boring, but it's critical for good quality soups. I'm going to be showing you a technique here that will help you bypass that step and be able to cook the soup with its integral vegetable and building a stock at the same time. Do you recall I said size matters? Speed soup is dependent upon that principle. If I were to simply take vegetable for a soup, obviously that's not going to do well. However, we're very familiar with using cut vegetable in a soup. That's pretty apparent. However, when we're talking about speed soup, if I take a portion of that vegetable and mechanically separate that further, that smaller vegetable will now cook more quickly, lysing more cells because there's more cells that have been disrupted initially mechanically, but there's also more surface area to be boiled out where that flavor is able to make stock at the same time it cooks the integral vegetable. There you have it, speed soup. This is also a mechanical means of releasing flavor. The problem is that it's nasty and not as nutritious. It may be convenient, but simply disgusting. And there you have it, our discussion of mechanically releasing flavor from cells. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. And please join us again at Kitchen Science and Common Sense, where we will discuss the use of acids.